Is the world actually flat? Come on, is this even a real question? Don't say, what kind of question is that? Instead, ask yourself, why do you think the world is round? Well, they've been teaching us that since elementary school, you might say. They told us it's a spherical shape. But have you seen it with your own eyes? Well, no, but there are plenty of photos taken from space. We see them every day. And who took those photos? Your friends who went on a picnic in space last summer? Every single one of those images comes from just one organization, right? You've been looking at the same map your entire life, but did you know that for Australians, that map looks different? And do you wonder how the United Nations sees it? Let me show you their logo. Now, think again. Is the world flat or round? If you're looking for claims about the flat Earth theory and the responses to those claims, you're in the wrong place. Even a quick search will lead you to hundreds of videos, articles, and endless forum debates on the subject. In short, there's a claim that the world is actually flat, like a disk, with the North Pole at the center and the South Pole forming a surrounding boundary. There are dozens of pieces of evidence supporting this theory. Some even argue that there's a dome over the Earth, that the sun and the moon are much smaller and much closer to us. At first, this might sound ridiculous, but as you think about it, do some research, and start examining the arguments, it feels like there's just 10 videos between you and the truth. Instead of diving into those debates, I want to take a completely different approach by referring to a letter written by one of my favorite sci-fi authors, Isaac Asimov. In this letter, Asimov states something intriguing. Confused yet? Don't worry. As we start explaining, everything will become much clearer. A look back in history. A few thousand years ago, people believed the Earth was flat, not because they were stupid or gullible, but because, based on their observations, everything around them looked flat. Even the intelligent people who lived between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, who would later be known as the Sumerians, believed in a flat Earth based on their available data. Remember, the Sumerians were the ones who invented writing. They were the most advanced civilization of their time. But because they were advanced, they also questioned things. Some of their observations didn't quite add up. Later, Aristotle compiled and summarized these doubts. Travelers heading south noticed that some stars disappeared from the sky. During a lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow on the moon was always curved. Ships disappearing over the horizon didn't just shrink, they seemed to sink out of view. Of course, the flat Earth model had its own explanations for these phenomena, just like today. But over time, the idea of a spherical Earth gained traction. The groundbreaking experiment back then, there was no Wikipedia, no Google, no internet. All knowledge was stored in libraries, and the greatest and most advanced library of the time was in Alexandria, Egypt. The head of this library was Eratosthenes, who wasn't just the director. He was also an astronomer, historian, geographer, philosopher, mathematician, poet, and theater critic. Yes, they even had theater critics back then. We're talking about the 3rd century BCE. One day, while reading a papyrus in the library, Eratosthenes noticed something fascinating. The document was written by a man from Aswan, a city in southern Egypt. We don't know his name, so let's call him the Man by the Well. This man wrote that on June 21st, at noon, the sun was directly overhead in Aswan. The shadows of temple pillars disappeared, and the sunlight reflected straight down into a well. This caught Eratosthenes' attention. He wondered, does this happen in Alexandria too? So, he decided to conduct an experiment. He found that in Alexandria, the shadows didn't disappear. Instead, they cast an angle of about 7 degrees. This suggested that the Earth's surface was curved. To confirm this, he hired someone to measure the distance between Alexandria and Aswan, which was about 5,000 stadia. Since the shadow created a 7-degree angle, which is approximately 1/50th of a full circle, 360 degrees, he used simple math. 50 times 5,000 stadia equals 250,000 stadia. This was his estimate of the Earth's circumference. In ancient Egypt, one stadium was about 157.5 meters long. Multiply that by 252,000 stadia, and you get 39,690 kilometers, which is only a 1.6% error compared to modern calculations. Was he wrong? Yes, but only by 1.6%, while flat earthers are off by, well, 100%. The evolution of scientific thought. Later, Ptolemy, from Alexandria, built upon these ideas, stating that Earth was a sphere, and even the center of the universe. Then came Nasir al-Din al-Tusi, from Khorasan, who analyzed planetary motion and corrected Ptolemy's model. Then Copernicus, from Poland, took it a step further, proposing a heliocentric model, meaning that not only was Ptolemy wrong, but so was everyone before him. Then Newton, from England, came along. His famous apple incident led to the discovery of universal gravitation, forming the basis of modern physics. And guess what? The story still doesn't end here. Each new scientist, from different regions and backgrounds, built on previous knowledge, learning from past mistakes to refine their theories. As Asimov said, mistakes are relative, and science works by continuously correcting them. The Flat Earth Conspiracy. Now you might be thinking, but many people seem logical and present evidence supporting the Flat Earth theory. I've watched hundreds of videos, and I'm starting to believe it too. First, I didn't drag this topic out. Flat Earthers did. They've been dragging it out for thousands of years. Second, this isn't a scientific theory. It's a conspiracy theory. Why? Because it follows a classic conspiracy mindset. They're lying to us. There are no real photos of Earth from space. They're all photoshopped. No one has actually been to space. NASA is just using billions of dollars to fool us. Not just NASA. Over 50 space agencies worldwide are supposedly in on this conspiracy. To make the lie more convincing, they didn't just fake it once. They've done it 155 times for the Moon, 43 times for Venus, 40 times for Mars, 9 times for Jupiter, 9 times for the Sun, and 5 times for Saturn, all from 6 different countries. To avoid suspicion, they even had 112 different manufacturers build the spacecraft. The US and Russia, who argue about everything, teamed up just to trick us. Other countries followed suit, launching 1,100 active satellites into orbit. All lies? Who benefits from the lie? In law, there's an old principle from Cicero. Cui bono? Who benefits? Why would they lie? I'll tell you, it's all because of that man, the one standing by the well in Aswan, 2,300 years ago. If it weren't for him, Eratosthenes wouldn't have started questioning shadows, and this whole big lie wouldn't have begun. If not for that, every thinker, scientist, and observer in history wouldn't have contributed to this so-called deception. But we're awake now, right? No one can fool us anymore. The world isn't round, and neither are our heads, so let's start using them properly. Even Nasruddin Hoxha got it wrong. When asked, "Where's the center of the world?" he pointed at his feet and said, "Right here." And if you don't believe him, measure it yourself.